anyone going through the process, it's not supposed to be an easy process. Like this is the biggest asset. Like this, you're putting a lot of money into this. You don't want to just put your money on everything. Step back for a second and just know exactly kind of the steps of what you need to do to kind of move forward.
Christina's episode ready to go for you guys. What had happened? We talked about how she enjoys doing events in her community to get leads, to be known and create relationships.
The thing is they take a lot of planning if you want to do it right. So you need to market it, you need to reach out to people, but it's also a great way to reach out to people and just like build another conversation, because you always kind of want to have those touch points throughout the year. Like you want to be able to make sure that like you're still having those conversations about multiple things, not just real estate.
We talked about the dream brokerage, how maybe in the first year she was juggling and deciding whether to commit full time.
When I first started, I was not fully immersed into real estate. I was still in another job. I'm a single mom, so I feel like I was trying to like navigate everything and figure out like, okay, how am I going to be able to fit this into my schedule and this and that. When you're doing this business, you really need to dive in feet first. You really need to like immerse yourself into the business.
Yeah. Just one of those days where like I pick and ask questions about a lot of things that I'm curious about. So I think you're gonna enjoy this one.
They're saying now that going into 2024 and 2025, it's gonna be the biggest years for mortgage renewals and refinancing, which is gonna be very scary.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself. Like, how long have you been in real estate? What do you focus in?
Yes, so Christina Assuncao. I'm primarily working in York region. Was born and raised there, did a little traveling around the world, worked on cruise ships for a few years. I lived in Whistler for a year, so did my travel bug when I was a little bit younger. And then I kind of was in retail management for a while and sort of doing merchandising and the business side of retail. And then I kind of wanted to switch over to something that I could do more, that I could kind of grow myself as a person. As I was getting a little bit older, I was realizing my skill sets were getting stronger and I like being with people and teaching people. So that's kind of the segue into real estate. A few people said that I would do really well. So that was kind of the segue into real estate. Exactly, that was enough to push me. Someone very close to me was in real estate at the time, and she's kind of the one that nudged me into the business. And it's been amazing ever since. I'm in my third year of business now. So have been doing that and chugging along, and it's been
Did you start
amazing.
right at the boom?
I did. So when I first started, I was not fully immersed into real estate. I was still in another job. I'm a single mom, so I feel like I was trying to like navigate everything and figure out like, okay, how am I going to be able to fit this into my schedule and this and that. And then I just realized that still working another job and doing real estate just didn't make sense. I feel like when you're doing this business, you really need to dive in feet first. You really need to immerse yourself into the business. It's hard to kind of still be juggling a few other things and also give your clients sort of your full attention.
Of course. Especially real estate, like you have to be.
Especially real estate,
You have to be whenever they need you.
Yeah, it's very last minute. It's nights, it's weekends, and especially with wanting to spend time with my son, I just didn't think that it was. Well, not I didn't think. I knew that it wasn't something that I wanted to continue doing. Yeah. So then I quit my other job and I got into real estate full time, and here I am.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that any kind of business that you're in, because I say this every time because it's so true. Real estate is, because I used to be, I tried being an insurance broker, life insurance. And it's basically the same. You get your own leads, you do the whole process of getting your own business going.
Yeah.
And either you're a salesperson, or you're a business person that wants to
business owner. It is, it's different.
And if you don't know which side you are, you're confused in the middle.
Yes.
And you won't succeed. So like if off the bat, I don't want to build a business because it's hard. And a lot of people, it's kind of hot right now.
Yeah.
Like in the social media and everything, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. But it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Well, you have to be, and I found this, you have to be very disciplined, very disciplined. Because if you're doing it by yourself, if you're not on like a real estate team team or you don't really have someone that's sort of supporting you or helping you through, like you really need to figure out how to do everything yourself. Like you really need to find a brokerage that will support you and train you and do all of those things. And you just have to be focused. Like it's like, I find even with myself a lot of the time, like I'll find like I have days where I'm just like, I can't sit still and just like focus on one thing. I'm kind of all over the place. And I'm like, okay, no, like bring it back together, because also in this business, if you don't focus, you don't build those relationships, then the business doesn't come, right? So
right. If you leave gaps, I remember this from that time. If you leave gaps, the videos I would watch is like, oh, if you leave gaps of not prospecting at least once a week or like something, then you're gonna have 2-3 weeks of no leads.
You'll notice it. And it's like, okay, no, get it together. Like you got to do it.
What do you usually like? You're in your third year, like full time. How long have you been doing it?
Full time, so probably just starting my first, just like the beginning of my third year full time. So about 2 years full time. And
do you see the difference between, like, have you gotten to the point where you see the efforts that you put in pay off? Or are you still kind of grinding?
I feel like it's still a process, only because when I first started, it was the height of COVID and I was new and I was still kind of like, okay, do people want to trust me and that? And then the market kind of shifted a little bit. Like we've seen a lot of different markets in this past year and these past 2 years. So it's kind of just learning and figuring out like what works best. But one of my strongest qualities in myself is I'm a very strong relationship builder. I think that I'm a genuine person and I just like to be out there and continuing to build relationships. Like when someone says, oh, like, are you lead generating? Are you doing this? Like, to me, that sounds like a little bit icky. Like I want to go out there. Like I want to talk to people. I want to build those relationships. So as long as I stay doing that and continuing talking to people, like people know I'm in real estate. Like I feel like if you see my Instagram, like I'm plastered all over there. Like you know I'm in real estate. I feel like the natural progression of a conversation when I talk to someone, like sure we'll shoot the shit about whatever, but like it will always turn into something about the market or something about real estate. So
you feel like it's easy for you to keep up with people? Like personally, I feel like this personality types. Like and it's a muscle. You're not born with it. I think it's a muscle and how you're raised. And then if you decide to implement it, like learn how to keep in touch and keep talking to people and building a relationship. But like that's the hardest part for me. I'll put my face down and work and forget the building the relationship. Even if I made a really strong connection with somebody, kind of like, ooh, and then focus on work.
Well, I feel like that's where like the discipline comes in. Because for my first year in business, when I fully got into like when I wasn't working my other job, I really didn't do anything. Like I feel like I didn't have the proper systems, or I didn't really understand what to do to my systems, like my CRM and my follow-up. So my first year, I was really bad at it. Like I wasn't doing any of the things, and I noticed that. Like I wasn't, anyone that inquired about real estate, it was kind of just like maybe like a DM or like something where like I never really followed through, like maybe a few months after or a year after or whatever it was. So I definitely noticed that. I feel like the past year, I've definitely been better and I've definitely been more focused with what I do, because it's all in the follow-up. It's all in continuing that and like not talking just about real estate and kind of following up. You see something on Instagram, they just got a new puppy, message about the puppy. They had like a big life change, they got married, message them about that. Like it doesn't always have to be about real estate. And I find like even those small touches are super important.
Because nobody's gonna buy from you the first Instagram message.
Exactly,
DM,
exactly.
Like, oh, that was interesting, but what you said.
Yeah.
Want to sell my house? No, like, it's not gonna happen unless you already have a big brand and they know you.
Yes.
Like you have to start getting their trust, right?
Yeah.
And then when they think about it, when they're ready to do it, oh, I have the most trust on this person.
Exactly.
Like a calculation is like, who do I trust the most?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be a dummy and hire a family member?
Well, exactly. Well, and that's the thing too, is because my thing is like I'm seeing everything sort of play out now. Like my pipeline is getting more full, but I feel like it was definitely a challenge to get there. But I'm definitely feeling better about it.
Right.
Now.
You have to see a cycle. That's right. You have to be able to see a full cycle to see what actually worked and what actually didn't, right? And like
trial and error, a lot of trial and error.
and the hardest things I've had to market and try to sell were things that took a very long sales cycle because you don't know what you did right or wrong until like maybe a year later or two, and you're like, oh, like how do I get better if I don't really actually know what leads to the sale?
Exactly.
So you're kind of like a little lost. They're all like third-party stories of like how brokerages are, right? And which ones are good and which ones are bad and which ones give you what, or what makes them bad or good.
Yeah.
You think if a brokerage gave you, well, first of all, did your first brokerage give you what you needed?
I think that you as a person need to go into a brokerage that aligns with your values. There's going to be brokerages and there's going to be people in your brokerage that will be amazing, so good at what they do. But if it doesn't align with how you do business, then you're not going to connect.
What does that mean though? Like your values?
I feel like because some values are or some ways that people do business are very specific to, maybe they're saying, okay, you need to go door knocking every single day. You need to be cold calling every single day. And that's how you'll get business.
Your system has to align with your personality,
like even when it
comes to what you want to do.
And when it comes to like, because I genuinely believe that social media is a strong tool for your business. It doesn't have to be the only tool, and it's not my only tool for my business, but it is one of my strongest tools. That's how I build most of my relationships. And if you're not aligned with a brokerage that believes in that,
they're not going to give you the tools.
You're not going to succeed there because they don't know how to help you. You need to be with people that are like-minded, that have similar business tools that you can collaborate with. And I'm a very collaborative person. Like I find everyone in my brokerage right now, like I can go, like I'm in the office almost every day. I can go down the hall and I can be talking to them. We can shoot the shit about business, about what they're doing, what's working, what's not working. And I love that. Like everyone wants to help each other. Everyone wants to see each other succeed. And that's really important for me when I go to a brokerage.
What do you think what is your structure of like that you're working on right now to get leads? Is it, I know you don't like the word leads, but your system, what's your system? What does it look like?
I would say that I've been doing a lot of community events and talking a lot to local people and doing things that are just building my name in the community. I have a women's group that I also ran with I've started running with a couple other women, and that's been a very powerful tool, and that's how I've gotten a lot of business, because as a single mother, like I've been through something that is very relatable to a lot of people. So we're a group of women that are in different professions, and we've all been through similar situations, and we help women navigate into independence after separation and divorce. Okay. So like that has gotten me a lot of like really genuine conversations and really important conversations, because when women go through something like that, you don't know if you have someone that you can trust, or like you're kind of all frazzled. So like I find like that's a really important tool for my business right now. And then it's being better with my CRM. Like that's one important system that I've been good with. Every time I have a conversation, I put it in there. I know I can follow up for whatever their timeline is. And that's just been really beneficial for me as well.
Because I see realtors, from what you're saying, like, and the marketing side, because I've always told myself, whenever I need to do a strategy, I'm like, what would I do?
Yeah.
So I'm very entrepreneurial. I'm not a marketer. I'm more of a business person. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be a realtor, what am I going to do? How am I succeed?
Yeah.
And first step would be selecting my area of niche.
Yeah.
Like very specific.
Yes.
And not try to be, and it's very difficult because I still go through my businesses. I'm like, I want to do everything.
Yes.
And like, I don't want to miss out on this.
Market to everybody, a wide range. You want to get all the people.
Yeah, but you lose out so much because
100%.
I like the analogy of the cups. Of like, okay, you have one cup over 24 hours. You're gonna probably work 8 if you're normal. If you're an actual entrepreneur, you'll work 16,
right?
18. And then you have to spread out all the niches, everything you're gonna do, and you're putting in the cup. When are you actually gonna overflow a cup and reach success?
Right.
If you have 100 cups going.
Yeah, I totally believe that.
Yeah, so like that's what I would do first, and then I would select a location, because I think if you're gonna use social media, the best place is you become almost like what are those called? Like the city ambassador? Or...
that's what someone called me the other day. They're like, you're like the mayor. Like, because I'm always posting about local things, because we're talking about niche and area. Like I love working with first-time home buyers and young families that are upsizing into their second home. Those people are just people I can relate with. I like helping. I feel like they ask a lot of questions, which always keeps me on my toes. So that's what I enjoy. And then definitely my area. Like, I want to stay local. I don't want, when I first started, I was driving out to Peterborough. I was driving out to like past Hamilton. And it was because I'm like, oh, like I need the business. And now I'm fine with maybe saying no or passing it off to an agent that I build a relationship in those areas, because that just makes more sense. So I'm definitely staying local, yeah.
And you usually like refer, or do you think you get is it normal in the business to get like a small commission because you refer?
It is, yeah. There's a standard practice to when you refer a business. Yeah.
So it's not a loss.
No,
so
it's definitely not a lot. You still, because people make a business out of this. Like people make a business out of being a referral partner. They just build relationships with referrals or with different realtors, because you still get a piece of the pie. You're sending, if someone were to call me and be like, hey, like I'm out of Niagara Falls and I have someone that wants to move to Newmarket, can you help them? They're sending me a qualified buyer.
Right. So
like obviously, like I didn't have to go out and do anything to find that buyer. So of course you'd give them a little piece of the pie.
Yeah, I think even more on social media, I was researching this guy from Florida, and he was saying that he likes to do a lot of events, and I tried it out on my social media just to try to see if it works. It's like, the 5 places to go. Like I did the 5 beaches in Toronto, and it really worked on TikTok. Like thousands of views, right? And he says, my strategy was do what my local city of like events, things that are very interesting to the people there. Be like, oh, your girlfriend, you show it like, oh, let's go to all these 5 restaurants. Or like, oh, look at this first, this bar you want to go try. Yeah. And then he said that he got a lot of referrals, a lot of leads that way. But then he started trying all of Florida. And then he started getting leads from outside the city, and what he because he was already big and he knew how to work TikTok, and that he started referring them and got like a fair amount of commissions from that. Yeah. Right, and that helps you, and I mean, at least invest in social media. Yes. Justify.
But like the power of social media, and that's why I love it. It's crazy. Like I feel like I've built so many relationships with people on social media, and then when I meet them in person, I'm like, I feel like I know you. Yeah. Like it's like we're like buddies now. Like it's funny. It's cool.
Yeah, you're kind of like part of their. If people post regularly in their stories, like they're kind of inside their bubble, and you see what's going on. You feel a little. That was so good that you're talking about, like, maybe I don't want to drive an hour and a half in traffic, because it's an hour and a half there, waiting maybe because people aren't on time, and then driving back an hour and a half, and you're like down 3-4 hours.
Well, time is money. Time is money.
4 hours in your day. You have a child. Yeah. So it's like, that's huge time management. Yeah. In the beginning, how much time do you think you wasted?
I wouldn't say wasted, because I got to help some really amazing clients. But I remember I was driving at one point. This was my first year in business. I was like, I'm in Newmarket, and I was driving out to Peterborough and Lindsay in like the dead of winter. Right. The dead of winter. And it was like almost 2 hours sometimes when it was like driving there, like doing the showings, like driving home when it was dark. Like it was a lot of time. It was a lot of time. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, like I want to help them and all this stuff. But now I'll definitely refer the business.
Do you feel like now that you're at the end of is it the end of your 3rd year, would it be?
No, I'm just starting my 3rd year.
Starting your 3rd year. Have you seen, it's a difficult question maybe, but have you seen different efforts that you put in different times of the year give you different results? Because we're in Canada, we're very seasonal, right? Yes. And unless you need to move, like there's gonna be a niche where like you need to move, they need to buy whenever, right? Yeah. But most people sell and buy around the warmer months, right?
Yes, like spring, like they always say, like the spring market, which it is always a little bit busier, only because like you see a little bit more inventory. But I find like definitely people are always buying and selling. It's based on whatever their needs are. Like I always tell people, like there's still amazing opportunity in the wintertime because there's less competition. Right. You can still get a great opportunity and a great deal on purchasing a house. So it's kind of like you can definitely see the waves, the up and down waves. Like August, December are like traditionally like slower months. So like I just always use those times to kind of like, if I need to take some time off, I take some time off. If not, I'll still continue like building my systems or implementing something in my business that I'm gonna plan for the following year, or like plan something to just get better and better. Like I always want to do something to kind of like improve, or like improve my listing presentation, or just my buyer consult, or whatever it is.
So you change your strategies, your presentations, and does that help? Does other people help you? How do you implement that? Because I've been taking this class from Alex Ramosi that tells you like you have to build your offer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm using it for my mom's business. Actually, it was international recruitment and immigration, and building out her offer. Like, what is the offer? Because you jump into real estate. I mean, you're selling houses, right? But if you want to say like, well, I'm different because I care about. Everybody says that.
Yes.
I think you have to. I don't know, because I've never done it, so I don't know if I'm right. But I think if you can build a unique offer, even if people do it, they don't communicate it. So if you build out your offer as a real estate that sounds and is maybe more thought out than everybody else, it could win your business.
100%. Well, like I firmly believe that you grow with your business. My niche market is not always going to be my niche market. As I get a little bit older, like I'm going to probably go into like for families, and then I'll probably go into like empty nesters and downsizing. So it's going to be different. Like when I first started, I bought a template off Etsy for my listing presentation. And it was very just like, it was great, but like it's evolved since then. Like I know a lot more, and I know a lot of like what I offer and how like my strong marketing, like it's kind of now, and I have more testimonials and things like that, it's not like I'm gonna completely rejig the whole thing. Like I don't know, but like I don't always want it to be like I still have my core values, but I still want my business and sort of myself to grow and change as I do.
How do you like to learn? Like, is it because whenever you try to work with real estate agents, they're always busy, right? Because that's the hardest part, predictability, right? Like you don't know when you're gonna get that call. You don't know, like maybe if you're very, very advanced, you do your own schedule and you say yes or no a little bit more. But like when can you choose to learn, and is it going in live to your office for presentations, or is it better just online videos? Because they all have their their pros and cons, right? Yeah. Because like in person, I think there's a lot more accountability.
Yes.
If online, like you'll watch the video, but you're like over here and that, and don't really give it all.
Yeah, I'm a very hands-on learner. Like I've watched 5 million videos. Sometimes if I'm in my office, maybe I'll have a podcast, or maybe I'll have a YouTube video on in the background just to kind of like hear something new if I'm working on a task. But I'm very hands-on. Like I'll learn from another colleague in the office. I'll ask him to kind of sit in on something that he's doing, or maybe sit in on the office if they're making calls, just so I can hear different ways of doing it and maybe implement a little bit of that into my business. And I feel like I'm very collaboration focused. So like I have a lot of realtor friends in different brokerages from my brokerage that I like to meet for coffee, and we kind of just say what's working for you, what's not working for you. And again, like everyone's willing to help, and that's kind of been my way of doing it.
Is there like a time that's best, or like a duration that you think is best for realtors to be able to learn something?
What do you mean?
Like if they're gonna take a class, if they're gonna be taking a course or something, like 2 hours is too long.
Yeah.
1 hour is.
Well, I kind of tell any agents that are asking me for advice or saying like, okay, like what should I do now? I always say just start small. Like if you only can chip away 30 minutes a day, then like find a podcast, find a way that you like to do it. Like read like a real estate book, or however you like to learn. Sit with me for a little bit. Watch me while I create some marketing on Canva, or maybe like sit in the office with me for a day, or sit in the office with another agent for the day. Use the downtime if you're not actively with a client to work on those things. Update your CRM, chip away 30 minutes every day to kind of like write notes in your CRM and things like that.
Do you have like a certain CRM that you like, or have you only tried once?
I've only really tried one. Like I said, my first year in my business, it was a write-off for me. I kick myself in the ass now because like I really think that I did myself a disservice, that I didn't properly immerse myself into the business. It's only been 1 year really that I've been actively on my CRM, setting myself reminders, calling down my list and just checking in and seeing how people are. But that's kind of just my way of doing it.
What held you back, do you think? Was it just like taking the plunge, income, insecurity? Like, what do you think actually held you back?
I honestly think it was a little bit of everything. Like, I was scared to get busy because I'm a single mom. I was scared to juggle so many things. I feel like I was also going through a lot of personal changes in my life. I deal with a lot of anxiety, and I feel like I sometimes don't focus. I can go into a hole where I don't want to do anything for a few days. So it's just like very. The whole first year was kind of just like, it was up in the air for me. But now I'm just realizing, okay, like I really need to like put my head down and really need to focus if I want to succeed in this business.
Right. I think the third year is the magical year.
I think so.
Where like you have to learn the lessons. There's always if I had a better, brokerage, if I had a better training,
yes.
Everything. But either way, if you had like the worst of everything, by the third year, you'll figure it out, and you know 100%. What the market is, you know what the business is like.
You can build, like you can have the
You've
conversations.
Seen successful
you
people,
feel confident. Yes.
Right. Like you've had maybe 1 or 2 deals. Like if that's what you got.
Yeah.
But now you know, okay, these are what successful people do. This is what I have to do. Am I going to do it? And you have to take that decision.
It's true. I feel like by that third year, because I talk to a lot of realtors too, and they say like, I really saw like my business thrive. Like my third year, my fourth year, I was doing really well. And by the fifth year, you're really in it, and you're really immersed in your business.
Do you have any like crazy or like new things that you want to start implementing now in your third year?
Now in my third year, I want to do more in-person events that are just not real estate related, right. More local events just to talk to people, because again, like that's what I enjoy doing, things that are free to the community and just kind of like getting more involved that way. And then just my women's group to kind of expand that a little bit more.
Any like new courses or anything that you want to specialize or learn about?
Not necessarily, not that I can think about. I'm dabbling a little bit into commercial real estate because I had a friend reach out to me, which is new and interesting to me. So we'll see how that goes.
How do you handle the groups, like the events? I think that's brilliant doing that.
Yeah.
Because like, you're just part of the community. You have to be trusted by the community. Do you just show up, you make it content? Like, what's the strategy there?
Well,
or just there to like give back and
I think it's like a little bit of everything. Like I did an event last year. It was called Sip, Shop, Swap. It took a long time to put together. I rented out upstairs in like a brewery. And then I just had local vendors come and sell their products. And it was just a community event where people brought their like gently used clothing, and then they swapped it out, like a sustainable shopping experience, and then local vendors. And it was super successful. I think I had like just over 50 attendees come, and everyone gave me such good positive feedback. We can't wait for the second one. So it's going to be a yearly thing now. And the thing is they take a lot of planning if you want to do it right. Because you need to market it, you need to reach out to people, but it's also a great way to reach out to people and just like build another conversation, because you always kind of want to have those touch points throughout the year. Like you want to be able to make sure that like you're still having those conversations about multiple things, not just real estate. Like I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh, are you going to buy or sell real estate this year? No. Okay, cool. Bye. Are you going to buy or sell your, like that's just not me. I'm not a cold caller. I'm not a door knocker. Like if I have an open house, I'll door knock the neighborhood. If I have a listing, if I have a buyer looking aside, I'll door knock. But like to generate the business, that's just not me.
You're in the long haul where like you'll invest in the community.
Yeah. And then sometimes I feel like doing it that way, it's a little bit more of a slow burn. I'm fine with that because I know that I am building trusted relationships, and I know I am getting my name out there, whether it's I'm doing an event about real estate or it's not about real estate, I'm still building trust, and that's my biggest thing.
I think that's huge because a lot of people are in real estate, especially in the beginning, thinking they're gonna make a quick buck,
No,
make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and then get out. Like if you, and it sounds like you are, like if you decide that real estate is the business that you're gonna grow for like the next, 10, 20 years or whatever long span you think, you start investing in the long term.
Yes. Yeah.
In relationships.
And I fully believe in that.
And if you don't get hurt, like, oh, like this person didn't buy, oh, I didn't ask them if they wanted to sell with me. It's like they'll come around.
It's like they'll come around, and I always see it, like even when it comes to like helping like tenants and renters, like some agents will not help tenants and help them rent, and I'm like, but at the same time, like if you can still help them, then they'll still share it with someone else. Like if they had a good experience, or if they hear someone's looking to buy real estate or sell whatever it is, then they'll kind of like share their good experience. They'll eventually buy. Like it's kind of.
Yeah, because if you're too big for them, let's say in your mind, like I don't want to waste the time per money. Like it doesn't make sense for me. Like I'm selling houses and bigger houses, but like you can still have some resources for them.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what? I don't specialize in that. Have this video, these little ebooks or whatever, so you educate yourself a little bit more, and I'll refer you.
Yes, exactly.
Your community, like something for me, because I grew up in small towns always, and until I was older, like 20 something, and that's something I really want to go back to a smaller town.
Yeah.
And Oakville was a little bit of a small town when I moved around 2012.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, above Dundas didn't exist.
Yeah.
And now that I'm married and we have a baby we're expecting.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. I want to go to a small town again, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel just the way that everything is kind of going real estate wise in Canada or Ontario, let's say GTA, is just they're figuring out where to stick a new building.
Yes, 100%.
And it's breaking apart the fabric of a small town and community.
Yeah.
Like if you use Oakville as an example, if you're not familiar, but like you have the old town by the water, and then they started building houses, and then you go up a little more down Trafalgar, and they started building more houses, and one or two buildings. They had, I think back in the day, they had a rule of like how many floors you build.
Yes.
Because they didn't want to be like Mississauga.
Yeah.
But now I don't know if that's still in place, because like all around, wherever they find these spots, they're building apartment buildings, and it just feels very, very clustered and very like congested.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think, I look around all the new developments and all the new apartment buildings. I'm like, where are they gonna buy food?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they cut their hair? Where do they this? And it's just houses, apartments, and everything else is like downwards towards Lakeshore, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a thought out city anymore. It
Yeah.
just feels like shit ton of houses and apartments, and then all the shops kind of like down there.
Well, when you're thinking about like purchasing a home, like you really have to like think into the future and what exactly you want, and you're having a baby, like what you want for your family, how you want your child to grow up, and what kind of environment you want your child to grow up in. And I feel like that's like, it's super important. It is. Mm-hmm. And like, it's like the city life and suburban life are two totally different things. And they're like, it's just like two different beasts, right? Like you have the city, it's busy, like urban lifestyle. And then you just have like a nice, quiet suburban, like you have bigger properties, and I love that.
What's your city like?
Well, I live in a place called Holland Landing.
Okay.
It's very small. We don't really have like grocery stores. Okay. It's just more, like there's a lot of homes, but like I'm close to Newmarket. So I'm about 5 minutes from Newmarket, and that's more of like a bigger municipality where like you shop, the mall, the bars, all the fun things.
So how do you handle because I go back to what you were saying about community. How do you handle a community when it's kind of like a little fractured?
I don't think it is though. I feel like Holland Landing is part of Newmarket. Like we kind of all just kind of like mesh together. Like
how big is Newmarket? I don't know much about it.
Newmarket's fairly big. Like we got Stouffville, then Newmarket, Aurora. I feel like all like the east side of York region is all kind of like into one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like it's usually, it used to be like everything was centered about the church, right?
Yeah.
And it's the town, kind of like church in the center, the town around it, shops around it, and the houses. Do you get a lot of the same people that coming back to you?
Oh, it's definitely not that small. Like we're a lot bigger than that. We don't like we've got our main street, which is like the main street. Like that's pretty much where all the bars are. But actually now that like I'm thinking about it, we kind of are like that actually. Like you think about like where then I'm saying this back now, I'm like, no, we do have kind of like the same friends. Like you go down to the main street to go to like the splash pad and then the skating rink, and it is most of the same families. And yeah, that's, I guess, as I'm saying it, yeah, it makes sense.
What's the market out like right now for you guys?
In what sense?
Just tell me about it. I don't know anything about it, kind of educate me.
Well, right now, I feel like everyone's just kind of looking at the media or hearing the media that like everything's on fire. And I don't believe that. Like prices are always gonna be a little bit, they go up, they go down. We know that in the long run, they're always trending upward. Prices are right now trending a little bit down. Interest rates are a little bit high. But it's good opportunities for buyers right now. I feel like a lot of people are waiting on the sidelines because they don't really want to wait for the interest rates to come down, but there's still good opportunities for buyers to get an amazing deal right now. Once they're saying that come 2024, that interest rates are going to start coming down a little bit. But once interest rates start coming down a little bit, all of those buyers that have been waiting on the sidelines, they're all going to come back into the market, which is going to inflate prices. And I firmly believe that if you're ready to purchase a home now, you really need to get your ducks in a row and start considering it, because it's going to get a little crazy again once interest rates come down.
Do you see a lot of people being frustrated?
100%. I feel like there's a lot of different strategies that agents use right now, because when we were in the height of COVID and agents were pricing their homes ridiculously low, not the most unrealistic expectations, but they knew that there was going to be 30 offers on the property. The property was going to sell 200,000 plus over what the listing price was. And now more people or more agents and more sellers are a little bit more reasonable in putting what they're listing, what they want to get for their home. But you still see there's some interesting strategies where they still list really low, and buyers like, well, it is listed at this, because they think that that's all done, that the bidding wars are done. So it is still definitely frustrating, because there's just a lot of like things that are just up in the air when it comes to strategies.
Do you see a lot more conditions or less conditions? A lot like because I'm thinking, how are people, do they have all this money saved up, or like I said, asking from friends and family? Like how do you see it reflecting to the deals?
Yeah,
buyers, the shape of a deal.
Yeah, buyers are definitely there. We're seeing more and more that buyers are having to get gifted down payments, whether it's from parents, grandparents, whatever that is. And then I'm seeing that friends are moving in, or that buyers are purchasing a home where there's a secondary unit where they can subsidize some of their rent because they want to get into the market, which I think is extremely smart. But we're definitely seeing that offers are going in with conditions, because they're allowed to have those inspections and those financing, because there's not as much competition on the home. And right now we're seeing a lot of sellers are in a little bit of panic because they need to sell. They're saying now that going into 2024 and 2025, it's going to be the biggest years for mortgage renewals and refinancing, which is going to be very scary for a lot of people. Exactly. They locked in at those really low rates, and there's going to be, it's kind of scary for some people, and I'm kind of trying to educate some people now to kind of figure out what you can do now, because a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford their homes. Like I'm hearing stories of some people, okay, we got our mortgage at $4,000. We were comfortable, but we still we're stretched at our $4,000. Like that's where we're good. And their mortgage went up almost double.
Oh, damn.
And it's like,
and it's not like it's just mortgage, it's like gas.
And it's exactly, food, everything's going up. So like it's stressful for a lot of people. And I think that it's going to be, this year is going to be really tough. People are going to be in very tough financial situations. But I work closely with a lot of my mortgage partners, and they're very, very good with kind of explaining and giving options and making sure okay, figure this out now so that you kind of know what to expect, how to prepare yourself, because you have to do that if you're kind of facing that sort of situation.
Even if you have the money and you're buying, or selling, and everything is like, it's stressful.
Yes.
And I can't imagine being a realtor now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people putting that stress on you, and you have to become some sort of like therapist or somebody to like relax them, kind of not guarantee them, but just like kind of put them at ease nonstop. So
well, it is like anyone going through the process, it's not supposed to be an easy process. Like this is the biggest asset. Like this, you're putting a lot of money into this. You don't want to just put your money on everything. And I remember even at the height of COVID, I was helping some clients, and I remember there was a few times they're like, okay, like this is what I can afford. And I told them many times, I was like, no, you can't, don't even get this property because I already know that you're gonna have to put more money into it. And they're like, okay, but they're gonna accept the offer. I'm like, but you're not gonna want that. So like, it's like kind of educating and just saying, no, like, step back for a second and just know exactly kind of the steps of what you need to do to kind of move forward.
For you, what's the dream brokerage? I like listening to like what you think, like if money wasn't an object, if they can cater exactly to you, what would be the dream brokerage for you?
Like what would be included there?
Yeah.
It's just having the right people. I am a people person, and it's having the right support, having the training, and then people that are gonna collaborate with you. I think that that's super important. Like to me, I'm not necessarily looking at a brokerage at who's got the lowest brokerage splits or who's gonna give me the best deal. Like I've been at a brokerage where it was very, very low splits, and I'm at a brokerage now where it's a little bit higher, but like I noticed the difference because I noticed that they're more involved, there's more training, more in-person things. They kind of help you along your business. They provide coaching and all those things that will just help you with your business and just propel you further. So it's super, like for me, the people is super important.
Anything else that you haven't had that you think could be offered?
No, I don't think so.
You're happy.
I'm happy. I am a happy camper. I feel like it's definitely being surrounded by the right people, and I fully believe that. Okay.
Why don't we close it off with a little bit about you talking to the camera, whatever you want to say to, so we can make a little clip for you. Are you familiar with the hero video?
No.
So just like a little video, like who you are, what you want people, the very first thing, your elevator pitch, like the first, if they watch this video, this is who I am, this is what I do. That's it.
Oh God. Freak me out here. So I am Christina Assuncao. I am a local realtor in York region. I love working with first-time home buyers, young families. I firmly believe in building those relationships and helping you throughout the process. From beginning to end, it's super important that you understand exactly what's happening every step of the way, and I'm here to help you do that.
Wow, it's like on point.
Oh.
Have you rehearsed that speech?
No, that made me nervous a little bit.
No, that was perfect.
Good.
No, that was pretty good. That's it, we're done.
Thanks for having me.
A whole hour.
I love
Did you
it.
like it?
Yeah, no, it was good.